guys, it's Sophie from Most Magical Guys here, and today I'm going to be talking about what 2022 will look like for Brits visiting Walt Disney World. So unfortunately we've seen so many people have to cancel or postpone their 2020 and 2021 trips to Disney World. So a lot of people are looking at visiting in 2022. So today I'm going to give an overview of what that might look like, and also whether you should visit in 2022 or wait until 2023. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the cost. So unfortunately we have seen the costs are significantly higher in 2022, particularly for flights, for car hire and for hotels and Disney resorts. This is because so many people are rebooking, and also it's a 50th anniversary celebrations. So combining those two has made it a lot more expensive to visit. What I would say is if you're going to rebook or postpone, is to have a look around at the different prices. Sometimes booking with a travel agent is great because you're only dealing with one company, and if you did need to make any amendments or postponements, or there was something to come up with the travel, you would just deal with one company and everything's covered because it's part of the package. The good thing about doing DIY at the moment is lots of companies are offering free cancellation up until the day before. You don't have to pay till you arrive. A lot of them are offering like a COVID cover. So you can get a lot of flexibility now if you book DIY. Myself personally, next year I've gone the DIY route just because I knew that I could cancel and there'd be no penalties. I wouldn't be paying anything out if I did have to reschedule again. So I kind of like the flexibility of that. Obviously the only downside is if you do need to do that, you then have to go to each company individually and make those changes, which is a bit more hassle than booking with a travel agent. But I would say just make sure you have a little look around to see who's going to offer you the best price, because we are seeing actual prices fluctuate wildly between companies. So it's definitely worth having a little look around, and make sure you also check their policies for if for whatever reason you did need to postpone or change your plans. Let's just check what they're saying for future trips. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the parks. So the great thing about visiting next year is there's going to be so much going on and so much to experience. We know this October Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is opening. Next year Tron is going to be coming. And you've also got all of the 50th anniversary celebrations. So 2022 is going to be a fantastic year to visit, particularly if you go in the later part of the year when we should see stuff like Tron open. Because of that, it's going to be excellent. There's going to be so much to see and do. So it's a really good year to visit. And we're also going to see Disney Genie be introduced this autumn, so that will be able to be used for trips next year. Genie itself should help reduce queue times because it's going to use algorithms to help spread people out throughout the park. So you let it know what you'd like to do, what ride you'd like to ride, where you'd like to dine, and it can tell you the best times to do that based on how many people are visiting or the queue times. So in theory, you should be able to get more into your day. So that's going to be really helpful to use. Obviously, alongside Disney Genie is you're going to have Genie Plus and Lightning Lane passes. And these could be a benefit or a disadvantage depending on how you visit Disney World. I've actually done a video all about the pros and cons of this and breaking down what it is. So I will add that to one of these corners. But the good news is, say you're visiting from the UK and you don't get to visit as often, if there's rides you really want to ride, like Rise of the Resistance, and you do have trouble getting the free boarding pass, then you know you have the option of buying something like a Lightning Lane pass. Of course, the downside to that is it is going to cost more. Genie Plus is $15 a day per person, and that lets you skip the normal lane and join the Lightning Lane for up to 40 attractions. But the big ticket rides like Rise of the Resistance or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train aren't going to be included in Genie Plus. Instead, they're going to have their own Lightning Lane passes. The prices for those still haven't been announced, but you can pay just to ride that specifically. So it can be great if there's specific ride you really, really want to ride because you know I'm not going to go home and I haven't been able to ride it, but there will be a cost to being able to do that. So when it comes to dining, the great news is we should see more and more restaurants reopen, and that should mean it should be a bit easier to get dining reservations. This year it's been exceptionally difficult to get dining reservations, particularly for the really popular restaurants. But I will add a link in the description below. I've done a blog post all about amazing tips and tricks so you can get those dining reservations that are really hard to get. With more restaurants opening, there's more variety, and also I would imagine that we will start to see capacity in the restaurants be increased, and again that will help you get the dining reservations because there's more seats to go around, so therefore it should be easier to get. And the great thing as well is that if you have the My Disney Experience app, you can use mobile ordering, which is really helpful to plan out your day, because you don't have to use mobile ordering just the moment you want to eat. You can, in the morning, say, we fancy lunch about 12:30, and you can put in your reservation in the morning, so then you can just turn up at 12:30. You're not having to join a massive queue or wait a long time for your mobile ordering. And you can also use My Disney Experience for your normal dining reservations. So it's definitely worth doing that, because with more people visiting next year, you want to kind of use these things they have in place, these features that they have for you to use to get the most out of your trip. So when it comes to the resorts and offers, by the end of this year, all of the Disney resorts will be reopened, which is fantastic news, because that means whichever resort is your personal preference or your favourite, you will be able to visit it in 2022, and also it means there will be more rooms available. So therefore it should hopefully reduce the cost somewhat, because more rooms equals lower cost because there's more rooms that need to be filled. The deal for next year is the dining credits deal. This isn't as good as the free dining offer we've seen in the past, but of course any offers where you're getting money off or dining credits, gift cards, anything that helps is always good. The downside, I would say, to staying on site next year is the fact that a lot of the benefits have been removed. So stuff like extra magic hours has been taken away. Instead, all resort guests will get half an hour early entry into the parks, which I don't think really does much. You'll be able to get on like one ride, but it's not really a big benefit. If you're staying in a deluxe resort, you will be able to get 2 hours extra in the parks on certain evenings of the week. I think it's going to be twice a week. So again, that is a benefit, but the amount you spend to stay at a deluxe resort, with it only being select nights of the week, I don't think it is that big a benefit. We've also seen no more free magic bands. The Magical Express is stopping and being changed to a paid for service by Mears. So a lot of the benefits are being taken away and the costs to stay are increasing. So I think it is worth looking at, do we want to stay at a Disney resort, or do we think we're staying off-site or at a Universal hotel next time, and you might be getting more for your money doing it that way. So that is something I would consider for next year. So I would say overall, 2022 is going to be a busy year to visit because of the 50th anniversary celebrations and people visiting who've had postponed trips. It's going to be amazing that you get to experience the 50th anniversary celebrations. They look so much fun. There's so much going on. And the fact that you're also getting lots of new rides and attractions is going to be great. 2022 is unfortunately going to be more expensive. So that is something to factor in. Do we think we're getting our money's worth? Or do we want to wait it out and see if 2023 the cost will come down? I do think in 2022 you are going to get less bang for your buck, just because so many of the benefits are being taken away, and we don't know yet how the parks will be operating. So there still might not be parades, there still might not be face-to-face character interactions, it might be distance like it is currently. So those are all things to consider. So now we talk about 2023 and whether that's a better time to visit. Now the great thing is the 50th anniversary celebrations go on for 18 months. So they will be carrying on into the start of 2023. So you could still get to experience all of that. And obviously Tron and Remy, all of those things at the beginning of 2023. So that is a good plus for visiting and postponing your visit till then. There is a possibility that 2023 may be quieter because a lot of people have had to reschedule, are planning to visit in 2022 because they kind of want to get back to the parks as soon as possible. And also some people have time limits on travel vouchers they've been given, so they need to visit next year. So 2022 could see a drop in numbers for that reason. It may also see a drop in numbers because a lot of the recent changes at Disney World people are kind of unhappy with. So the replacing of the free fast pass system with the paid Genie Plus and Lightning Lane system is something people aren't happy about. They don't want to have to be paying more for what used to be free. The Disney resorts getting rid of a lot of their benefits. People aren't willing to pay out the same price or even higher cost for far less benefits. And also a lot of people that have annual passes, they have increased in price and you also get less than what you did before with your annual pass. So a lot of people are planning to kind of not visit Disney as much or at all because of these changes. So it might mean that 2022 is very busy, but 2023 this drops off a lot because people have had their rescheduled trip and then they're not planning to visit for a while. You might also want to wait till 2023 to see if any benefits are reintroduced. So I do feel that if Disney see people dropping off returning and people not being happy about these changes, they may start adding more benefits to say at a Disney resort. There may be things in the park that they kind of give benefits to people. So I do think it's worth waiting to see if those come into play, because then you could be getting more for your money, which is always nice. And also at the moment, we don't know what the measures will be in place regarding safety measures for visiting the parks in 2022 or travel. So I would say it's most likely in 2022, particularly for flights, you are probably going to need to have either proof of vaccination or negative testing. I can see that going into next year. So if that's something you're not keen on, then that's worth thinking about 2023 when it's possible that maybe those things have been phased out. We also don't know if you're going to need masks or what the things may be in the situation will be in Disney World itself. At the moment, I can't imagine it changing too much going into 2022, unless like the world situation changes drastically. But fingers crossed that does happen. But yeah, I think those are things to consider. So I think 2022 is a fantastic year to visit if you want to get the 50th anniversary celebrations underway, if you've got travel vouchers that you need to use up, and also if you're just really excited to get back because you've had to have your trips postponed previously. I would say 2023 is a great option because the parks should be quieter. You'll still be able to take part in all of the 50th anniversary celebrations at the beginning of the year, and hopefully the world situation will just be a bit more improved, so things should be a bit more normal. It should be easier to travel. So let me know, have you had any of your trips postponed or cancelled? When are you planning to visit next year? Do you have any questions or concerns? Let me know and I'll try and answer them. But make sure you like and subscribe, and you can head over to my website, mostmagicalguides.com, and then there's loads of tips and advice on how to plan Orlando theme park trips and Disney World trips. And I've also got a range of planning templates that can help you easily plan out every aspect of your trip. So until next time, I hope you have a most magical day.